All right, welcome back to another episode of Aesthetic Control. As always, I'm Reed. Thanks for sticking around. I know it's been another kind of long delay between videos, but things are busy, you know? Work is super busy right now. I have to go out west a couple times coming up in the next few weeks, so it's just crunch time all around. I've redone my office, as you can see. I'm gonna keep working on that. Hopefully, get my gallery wall set up to be a new backdrop. But yeah, painting takes up time. Waiting for it to dry takes up time. Rearranging all my shit takes up time. And then the main thing, what I wanted to make a video about, and what I've got several questions about since posting that zine video especially, is I've been shooting a lot of shows lately, which has been great and fun, and that's always a good time. But that also takes time to, go to the show, come back, have enough film to develop all at once, develop the film, scan the film. I got the scanning station set up behind me. Things just take a lot of time, and time is limited. But we're back making a video today about some of the questions I've received about just my gear, my setup, and how I shoot film at these shows. So I wanted to do I don't know if deep dive is the right word, but I wanted to do a look into my gear, my stuff, and some of the processes and settings I use. So first of all, my bag. This is the bag I use most of the time. Well, not most of the time. If I have a big show I'm going to, and I'm going to be there for a while, and I want to bring more stuff, I'll bring this bag. It's a Filson Magnum collaboration, I don't know, shoulder bag, some sort of bag. Apparently these are hard to find now, but it's great. I got it at a camping store in Boston 5 or 6 years ago now, for cheap, because it had been sitting there because nobody wants to buy an overpriced camera bag at a camping store, so I got it for half price. Good deal. If I'm traveling light and I only have just my camera or my camera and just the flash, I will typically take it in this little Nico, chrome Nico sling bag. And this is what I have sort of all the time when I go out into the world to just run errands or walk around or whatever. Just a little sling bag. I have a couple of these style bags. I just throw a camera wrap in there with a custom wrapped cardboard insert to give it a little bit more of protection, more not padding, but more structure, so it's not flopping around all over the place. But to get back to the main bag, the Filson Magnum bag, it's great. Fits all the shit I need. If I have my film, my M6, if I have my digital Leica for a big show where I need to turn the images around fast, or if I have my Mamiya C330 to do part of my portrait series project, it fits everything I need with a flash or two, and some of the other assorted gear that I take with me. So let's get into that. So if you're just tuning in, I'm mostly, or at least for the next year, I pretty much only shoot a Leica M6, and that fits great in this bag. I have on it the 28mm that I've been using nonstop since the start of the year. I mentioned in a previous video that I've cheated a little bit, and I've been using the Voigtlander 21 f4 Scopar, whatever this thing is. Yeah, color Scopar, because it's incredibly small, and I really like the 21mm view for live shows to get in there and really fill the frame. This thing, other than low light, can't be beat. The f4 is a challenge, but it's not too bad, especially because I often, almost all the time, use a flash. And I've gotten a lot of questions about how I shoot flash with my M6, since they're not talking to each other. It's not TTL. The flash I use is a Nikon SB900. It's just some old mid 2000s Nikon flash that has taken quite a beating over the years. You can see part of the LCD screen is busted because I was at a Convert show in 2010, maybe. Was holding it up to shoot, and somebody kicked the shit out of it. The batteries shot out, the flash went flying, and luckily, the only problem is just that one little strip of the LCD not working, and I know my way around this thing well enough to sort of know what the buttons do even without having access to that information. And really, I'll go into this more, but like once I find a setting I like, I don't really change it. And if we want to talk about settings, usually what I do is I set my ISO. If you can see, you can select an ISO, set the frame of view, so the lens view, and set your f-stop, and then as you dial up the output, it will show you, especially if you have it like this, it will show you the distance of light that you can throw. You see that? So as I, crank up the power, it's telling me I can get further and further coverage. And it has this diffusion panel. And if you take that off, you get slightly more coverage. So, at f10, 24 millimeters at half power, at 800 ISO, I got 16 feet of coverage. And if I drop the diffusion panel, it cuts it down to 12. And really, this shows that I shoot more than 15 feet is plenty. Most of the time, the bands are 5, 7, 3 feet away. So I don't need a super powerful flash, and luckily this thing has lasted for quite a long time. I think I got this in 2009. That sounds right. And it's great. Still works, still pumps out the light. No issues. To sync that with my camera, I use these little Calumet radio triggers. I don't even know what company. I don't know if this company exists. Calumet was a camera store in Boston when I lived there. I must have purchased these there. They're very similar to, I think they're called Cactus receivers or something like that. Basically, throw it on the flash. Got your little guy there. Turn it on, choose a channel. Sync that with the one that sits on top of the camera. Dial in your f-stop. Match your flash settings to that, and then if I'm shooting at f8 at 800 ISO, I can get 15 feet of coverage, and there you go. I'm ready to rock. I don't really change my settings. I typically zone focus when I'm shooting a show. So oh, and the one challenging thing about the M6 is that the shutter sync only goes up to a 30th of a second, which is plenty, and I often shoot at 30th, 15th, and 8th to get some of the light trail look. But just something to keep in mind. I guess it goes up to a 50th, but I never go to that little lightning bolt setting. So anyway, back to zone focusing. So let's say I'm, shooting at f11. Let's see if we can see this. If I'm at f11, I can dial in here. I don't know if you can see this. It's hard for me to see. Anyway, I can hit it. Okay, f11. So I've got between 10 feet and 3 feet covered, which, if I go to slightly more than that, 5 meters to 1 meter. That's plenty of space, plenty of focal depth to get pretty much everything in focus that I need. And if I want to get a little flashy and somebody's playing guitar right in front of me, I can drop that down to 2 feet or less, and hit them with the take the picture, quickly go back to zone focusing, get everything back in focus. It's all pretty straightforward, and it's not like this is some secret technique. Lots of photographers use this. Lots of street photographers use zone focusing. It's just one of those things that like it works really well for shooting these shows. And if I run out of batteries in my radio triggers, I can always. I have one of these old like Nikon. I think this is a Nikon. Yeah, Nikon. Cable sync, off-camera sync cables, or if I want to get old school PC cable release, just hook that into the back little port there. I don't know if many flashes still have PC sync outputs or ports, but this one does. So just clicks in right there, back of camera. And that's how I shoot most of the time. I have my little cable or radio trigger on my camera, flashes like this. I'm ready to shoot, move, whatever. Some light trails, all that fun stuff. So what have I been shooting lately? Let's take a look at some images using this setup of some of the bands I've been shooting. So what have I been shooting? Let's take a look. In the past couple of months, there's been quite a lot of shows, more than usual, which has been a lot of fun. So to start off, Spiritual Cramp by Military Gun came through. City of Caterpillar and Glassing came through. Magnitude had a huge record release show in Raleigh that I went to with who was on that? Wreckage, One Step Closer, Divine Right, a couple others. Cool, great big hardcore show. Always some of the best stuff to photograph. Recently, a couple bands, like noise rock type bands called Porcelain and Life in Vacuum, came through and played at a place, like a little, almost like dive bar with an upstairs venue. And that was one that I didn't use flash for a few shots, and other than having to drop down to like a fourth of a second or a little slower, it's not that bad. And part of the fun of film is like embracing the gritty, grainy, blown out in some areas, super dark in the other areas kind of look. I love that about film, and that's why I use it. And then the last, most recent show that I have shot and developed film for, that I went to one the other night and just haven't had time to get around to that. It's a band called The Armed, who played at a place called Motorco, and a dear friend of mine, Megan, was doing the sort of second vocals for them on this tour. So I got to meet up with her, hang out, shoot the show, hang out for a little bit, and just, you know, do what I like to do. So that is a little bit of a glimpse into, I guess, the gear and the process that I use for photographing these shows. To recap, basically M6 with a 28 or 21 millimeter lens that I stopped down to, I don't know, f8, f11, whatever, and then use zone focusing to get what I want in focus. And then I pair my big old Nikon flash that I can, you know, dial in my power, my f-stop, and my distance to sort of create the light that I know I need or that I want, and then go from there. And then I use the tried and true, you know, 15th of a second, eighth of a second, slowish shutter speed to get some cool light trails. Let the sort of house lights work in conjunction with my flash, so it's not just a stark, blasting, bright light. Although sometimes that looks cool, and I've definitely done that in the past, but typically save that for, like, I don't know, a house show or some small, you know, rinky-dink venue where there isn't much house lighting. But for the past few shows, there's been good house lights, so I've been able to work with the slightly slower shutter speeds to pull in some of that ambient light, but use my flash to freeze the action. So yeah, that's basically the breakdown of how I photograph shows and how I've been doing it for, I don't know, 15 years in this way. Hope you enjoyed. As always, if you have any questions, leave them below. I try to respond to questions that I have answers to. If I don't have the answer, look elsewhere. But anyway, thanks for joining me. Hopefully I won't have as long of a break between videos, although I say that now knowing I have travel coming up. So look for the next video at some time later. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. As always, Aesthetic Control. See you on the next one.